All right. Finally. Talking about technical difficulties. My God. All right. So here we go. Here we go. Brother D on sports. It's going to be a late one tonight, y'all. Yep. I had to stay up for this one because I had to get some things out. I have not been on in a minute. Just been, taking care of a lot of things, work related and whatever else we had to do. But here I am. Got a lot to talk about. A lot is going on. A lot is going on, and it only behooves me. I've been wanting to do a. This is not really a sports channel. I'm coming on a different YouTube channel than I usually come on as well. Those who know me, who know who I am, and those who don't on this channel, well, how you doing? I'm Brother D. That's all you need to know. Okay, so this is the thing, guys. We're going to be talking. Okay, I'm just trying to center myself. Just talking a little bit about sports tonight, and we're going to get some things in. Hopefully, we can get it in and get it out. Sorry for the long intro. I was just trying to do a countdown, and it just took over. It just took over. But nevertheless, here we are. Here we are. Okay, so there's a lot of going on, a lot going on in the sports land. Those who watch sports, you all know about things that's going on at FS1 as well as is going on in the WNBA. A lot of things that are shocking to some things are not shocking. But I'm Brother D, and I'll be talking about them on sports. I haven't used this YouTube channel in a minute, so just to get back reacquainted with you guys, you know, um, I'm the one who did a report on hockey not being that fighting in hockey is not a part of the sports, and a lot of people got upset about that. And I'm the one who also reported that first way back in 2010 that LeBron, no, yeah, it was 2010 that LeBron James suffers from anxiety, and no one believed it, but it's proven to be true. And just like a myriad of other things in sports that I talk about. I love players like Ben Simmons that a lot of people don't like, and Kyrie Irving when he was being despised for merely standing up for what he believed in. A lot of people didn't want to believe in him, but I believe in him. I'm one of them guys. You know what I mean? I take up for the underdog, and not so much because they're the underdog, but because they sometimes people points are valid. They have valid points backed up by data and as well as just their personal beliefs, that may be the case. But nevertheless, so we're gonna get into tonight some things. We're gonna talk a little bit about Angel Reese. We're gonna talk a little bit about Caitlin Clark. We're gonna talk a little bit about Acho and also Shady McCoy of FS1, and James Jones and just a myriad of other people that are on. Let me see. Where did and I'm sorry, just read my texts. Um, as I said, we're just really just going over some things tonight. Um, so what I want to start off with, I really want to start off with the cancellation to FS1's Speak was canceled, as well as the Breakfast Ball, as well as a Speak Breakfast Ball, and there was one other. Oh yeah, the Facility. Okay, out of those three, my favorite show was The Facility. As you already know, that Speak started out with Marcellus Wallace and also Acho. And Acho, not to be confused with Ocho. Everybody keep confusing Ocho Cinco with Acho. Acho is Acho, Ocho is Ocho. Acho is the guy who talks about healing the black, the the culture, between black and whites in a culture, in American culture. So, this is the guy I'm talking about. And if you look up the Breakfast Ball, I'm sorry, if you look up the Facility on FS1, if you Google that or if you put it in YouTube, you'll find out exactly who I am. And his name is Emmanuel Acho. That's his full name. Young African brother, not African American, he's African. So anyway, just leading into to him talking about some things that Acho felt that that was important. Um, he's always Acho has always been like a company guy, a guy who follows everything to the T company, and I think he panders. I think he panders because in America we can't just be who we are. Sometimes as minorities, we have to sometimes pander because we feel like if we pander, that it will make things better for us. But pander is sort of like, to me, like segregation. Once people can, not all people, but once people who wants to get in and tinker with what you do, you let them in, and they're going to tinker. Okay, so when you pander, what you do is you let people into your paradigm or into um, your school of thought, and what happens is they then stare your narrative. They then stare your narrative, and we really can't have that. So in sports, when I look at Acho and I look at him, and out of all the three shows that was canceled, to me, their show was the most popular. Speak also featured, Joy Taylor, Keyshawn Johnston, and also um, Paul Pierce. Um, you know, Joy Taylor was with them at one time, and they split the shows because Shannon Sharp had got fired from FS1, and then they created two shows, The Facility, as well as they rebooted Speak. So I know I'm saying a lot right now, but those who know you can keep up. If you can't, just Google it. So anyway, so out of those three shows, I felt that The Facility was the most important show, and the show was canceled. And upon canceling the show, Acho made a statement. He said, he said when you're not great, you're going to get canceled. And therefore, I'm waiting for God for my next move. And I sat there and I thought about what he had said. Like, so he was actually saying, I wasn't good enough. That's why I was canceled. I'm not going to make no excuses. And this is what it is. And Acho mainly made that statement because a lot of people out here really don't like Acho. A lot of the African American community don't like him, especially some of the young women, because how Acho panders and how he sometimes put us in an awkward position when he acts as a voice for all of us. Sometimes he speaks in generalizations opposed to speaking for either himself or people that he really actually knows. So the problem is that when I look at Acho, when he says things like that, he's really covering up for a lot of things that he has done over the years that has to me, I really think that had like kind of hurt the black community. And this, don't get me wrong, if you listen to me, I speak up for our community. I speak plainly. um, I don't have no problem with talking about race because race is a real issue. Race is we see disparities. We see people right now being deported, not based off anything they have done wrong, but just simply because sometimes, you know, but I'll leave it. I'll tap that at another time. But anyway, so, looking at Acho, and that show being canceled. So once again, out of the three shows, The Facility being canceled, I said to myself, I was like, wow, these guys really got canceled in the middle of like almost nowhere. It's like it's June, and now we're in July, but the show was canceled, and I look at Acho, and when I think about him, I'm always thinking about how we as a community, when we have the opportunity to say the right thing or to do the right thing, and we pander and we give in to popular opinion, or we try to make other people feel comfortable, that's where we go wrong. That's where we go completely wrong. Tonight we looked at the 2025 ESPYs, and Oscar Robertson was awarded the Arthur Ashe Award, and during that award, he was talking about how he had to fight for the players, the whole players. He was the president of the Players Union, the first African American, for I should say, first minority to be the president of any union and in the United States, I should say. And he had made a statement tonight, like, well, he pretty much said, well, if you lie down, you're gonna get what they feed you. But if you stand up, you can eat at the table. And that's pretty much what he said in a nutshell. Of course, I'm paraphrasing using my own words because I can't remember off the top of my head, what he said verbatim, but that's what he was saying. But nevertheless, he said he did say, I took a lot of scrutiny. A lot of people talked about me. They lied on me during this 6 years of deliberation because he filed a lawsuit against the NBA. And while he was still playing in the NBA, and 2 years after he retired, it was finally settled. And after that was settled, he was found on the right side of things because out of that came what? Free agency. Out of that came more money for the players. Out of that came things for the players that they would have never received based on a fearful man, a man who doesn't want to stand up in the midst of things. So I'm coming full circle with this with Acho because I don't want to make this into a sermon, right? So Acho, when I see him over the years and he's pandering to people, he's wearing the old man suits when he first come to speak because he was on Speak first. And he was wearing the old man suits and he was looking a certain way. You know what I mean? He was like just fitting in. And I know Acho was much more chic than that. I seen how he dressed in other spaces, other places, but he wasn't being who Acho was. And then all of a sudden his verbiage also changed. And he started to say things like, speaking out against Kyrie Irving because Kyrie Irving had a mindset to follow what he wanted to do. When LeBron James made up his mind to say, I'm going to play in South Beach, and everyone came up against him. A lot of black people in sports and also in society came up against him because why? Because the majority was speaking out against him, saying that was uncouth, that was unheard of. You should never do things like that. And we see things like that, and we just run with it and go, yeah, we shouldn't do it. And a lot of you guys are just speaking out of fear based on what? Because you want to appease people. You feel like if you say something for yourself that I don't want to really ruffle too many feathers. In other words, you rather give someone else their peace opposed to you having your peace. And your peace is not even something extravagant or way out or wanting more than someone else. You just want what's normal, simple human rights. Normal, simple human rights. That's all some of us are looking for through this thing, to be treated equally, to be paid equally, to be recognized equally. So, we come up with diversity, equity, and inclusion to do what? To make sure that affirmative action was properly being used. We used it as a measuring rod, a barometer to see if after some years, was it still doing what it was supposed to do. And what ended up happening is that people have now used it as a device to say, hey, you want something for nothing, or you're not educated and we're going to hire someone. No one's dumb enough to hire someone who's not educated, right? Enough to do the job. Who's going to go to a doctor who doesn't have the 8 years of medical school? So I'm saying all that to say this. Acho pandered a lot. And when I look at his career at FS1, I now say, like, wow, they're not going to bring him back on another show. This is the second show at FS1. Not saying that God can't do nothing and he can't, and God can't move on his behalf. I'm a Christian, so you're going to hear me say God sometime. My reference is going to be amen and all that. So, because it's a part of my verbiage and my vernacular. So, it is what it is. But anyway, so going forward, when I look at Acho, right, when I look at him, I'm saying to myself, like, dang, dude. So now your legacy is going to be a tap dancer, a dancing bear. A tap dancer is someone who just whatever somebody is singing, they'll find a rhythm to it and just keep dancing to it. That's what a tap dancer is to us, to the black community. A dancing bear is someone who just likes to perform for people, to bring other people joy. So I'm gonna keep dancing, dancing bear. Ah, there you go. And when we do stuff like that, what we do is we rob our families, we rob our dignity, right? We rob our relationships because our spouses, whether whether your wife or whether your husband, we lose respect for one another underneath, even though we still undergird and hold each other up, but we still lose amount of respect for them in that area. And we know, like, I gotta pray for you in that area, or I gotta step in and offer you some some knowledge in that area, because I see that it's a level of fear there when it comes to you standing up for what's yours. Because we see no problem with DEI being eliminated, affirmative action be eliminated, and no one says anything, and the black community to sit there and go, okay. It's not okay. It's great that we're protesting Target. That's a great thing, because Target promised the black community, billions of dollars, and then oh well, DEI is over. So not sorry, we're not giving you anything, but hey, still shop here. No, I'm not shopping there. What's my return if you build a Target in my area, and but yet you don't want to hire people in my area that sustain your Target, but you're not giving me no money to sustain my housing, to sustain my family. That's the trade-off when businesses come into your county, or to your neighborhood. That's why they vote on it, for these commercial properties to be in there. And then you see people coming in, downtown, who don't look like us, who don't represent us. They rezone certain places and put things there, and now we're forced to shop there. And a lot of people who don't have cars or transportation or money for Ubers, that can't go out far, what they do is they go locally, they go right there, and they make sure they just put enough there so you can always patronize them. It's a system that's set up to keep those businesses running, but they don't have to hire you. They don't have to look at you or nothing. So now I bring that full circle once again back to Acho, and I look at his legacy, and I go, Dad, dude, you had an opportunity to say what's right. You had an opportunity to say and to sound the trumpet and say, hey, I'm against this. I feel like, Kyrie Irving can speak for himself. I feel like this person can speak like this for themselves, but you chose not to. You listen. It's a shame. I look at I'm gonna speak on the women in a minute in NBA, but I look at the whole thing with Angel Reese, right? Angel Reese said, "Well, if I'm the bad guy, I just got to be the bad guy." And you know why they call Angel Reese the bad guy? And I'm still talking about Acho, because Angel Reese said, you can't see me," to Caitlin Clark in the 2024 and the 2023 NCAA Women's Championship. She did a hand gesture to her. In other words, she was saying, I got you. You thought you was the best. I'm the best. So basically, she was showing her up. But you know who was doing that same hand gesture for 2 years? Caitlin Clark. And everyone loved it and they adored it. And everybody was like, yeah, go Caitlin. Even me, I was like, go Caitlin. And then all of a sudden, Angel Angel and LSU got a hold of Caitlin, and they beat her in the championship in 2023. And people lost their minds from that day. And Angel Reese was like, well, if you guys want to call me the bad guy, I'm the bad guy. Now, I'm still talking about Acho. Now, watch this. Acho says out of his mouth, he comes out and he says, well, if she want to be the bad guy, she got to live up to it. If she want to be the bad guy, she got to live up to it. And that's too bad. Listen, her being the bad guy on the court and doing a hand gesture and talking smack, that's bad. Listen, that's basketball. Those who never played basketball, if you don't understand, please shut up. You really don't know basketball if you don't understand that everybody chirps on the floor at one point or another, or all game long. It's nothing but yakking going on. You can't see it or hear it sometimes, but it's going on the whole game. All right? Out of the 15 players that's on the basketball team, there are 8 of those. Now, I'm going to say 10. 10 of those 15, right? 2/3 of that team is talking smack. The other 5 are, either introverts or people who ride the pine and probably can't say anything. But anyway, so I'm saying that about Acho because Acho had an opportunity to be a man who really to speak up for what he really and truly believes. But he panders. And how do I know he panders? Because Angel Reese, people start to call her out of her name. People start to ostracize her and say, oh, yeah, we don't like her. And they start calling her words like whore. They start calling her sloth. They start calling her monkey. Now we know that someone superimposed and put the monkey on the two Y 2026 um, game box in place of her, because she was awarded that position on the box, to grace the cover. But I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about way before that. And they was calling this young lady all kinds of names because she won a game. And it didn't stop from 2023 to today. Till today, in real time, they're still calling her all kinds of names. Ghetto Barbie, all this. This unreal. Now, why is this about Acho? Because Acho had the opportunity to say, "Hey, wait a minute, bro. We don't go that far. We don't talk about women like that." He had the opportunity to do that, but he chose not to. But you know what he did talk about? Oh, she said she wanted to be the bad guy. Because I said I want to be the bad guy, don't mean I want somebody to call me a whore. Because I choose to be the bad guy, don't mean I want somebody calling me a sloth. See, his reason was totally incomprehensible. But what he did was he justified it through rhetoric and pandering to make these middle-aged Caucasian men feel comfortable. He got on the air and said such things. Because when you look up the accounts, that's who they are. Ask me how I know. This is what I do, dog. Ask me how I know. So when I look at him, I am overly saddened by the weakness of this brother. How weak he is when it comes to this. And everybody, well, everybody paycheck. You don't have to be evil. You can be objective. You can even follow the guidelines of what your people are saying. But you don't agree with and let someone call women out of their name like that and just live with it. And this is how I know he was pandering. Some of the girls that in the league, they play tight defense. Caitlin Clark, Caucasian young lady from Iowa. Now she plays for the Indiana Fever. She can shoot from far out. She has a nice jumper from the outside. And a lot of the ladies, they play her up close. Why? Because, well, I'm not going to let you shoot that jumper on me. And they know that that's like that jumper is 65 to 70% of her game. That's 65 to 75 to 70% of her game. So they shut that down. They play her tight. They play tight defense on her. They play on that right hand because she's really kind of weak in the left hand. So, and Acho gets on TV. You shouldn't do that to her. Him and Shady McCoy. You should let her, sometimes I think you should let her score. I mean, just saying all kinds of crazy stuff. Let her score. So anyway, I mean, these are real words that came out of their mouth. So my thing is just that you are ready to say that these ladies are playing her too tight, following her intentionally, but you're not addressing what they're saying about Angel. That is crazy. That is insane. See, people don't understand like how this thing goes. It's like if you're going to listen to it in one respect, then you have to listen to it in all respects. You can't say, "Oh, I'm going to protect this one, but not protect that one." They both are ladies. What are you saying? They both are players. Angel's not doing anything to anyone. She don't have any excessive technical fouls. Matter of fact, Caitlin Clark have more technical fouls than Angel. A technical foul is a violation that exceeds the regular course of a foul. It can be something that's verbally said or something that's done that exceeds the normal flow of the game. And a typical foul that is committed on another player or against an official or a spectator, which is a fan that's in the stands. You're going to assess technical fouls for things like that. Yeah. So taunting, stuff like that. Anyway, so when I look at it all, I'm saying to myself, wow, this man is willing to make this young black girl, 23-year-old black girl, coming up at LSU. Matter of fact, in the 4 years at LSU, Angel made $7 million in NIL money, name, image, and likeness. She made $7 million. She was making 3 point something $1 million a year. I'm sorry, $1.7 million a year. So she made 321. I'm sorry, she made 5.1 million. I'm sorry. Sorry, I have to rehash those numbers. I'm so sorry. So made $5.1 million while she was at LSU for 3 of the years she was at LSU. So this young lady is an entrepreneur. She would model the clothes that different people would send. That was she would do on her off time, and she had a huge page on Instagram, and Instagram also paid her as well. I think that's where they put it up to 7 million. But nevertheless, it doesn't matter. She was a millionaire coming out of college, going into the pros. She came into the pros. The pros pay you $75,000 a year to play 40 games. Now it's 42 games. They increased the game from 2023 to 2024 to I'm probably from 2024 to 2025 to how many games now is it? It is 42. They play 42 games, $75,000 a year. Their season starts in late May, and it ends. And if you make it to the playoffs and everything, you can end in September. Yeah, like from September, early September, mid-September. But nevertheless, I'm saying all that like that's the craziness that we deal with when we deal with someone like Acho. Acho chose to pander, and it still got him kicked out. This is the gist of what I'm saying. He chose to pander, and he still got kicked out. He still wasn't good enough in people's eyes. He said it himself. Oh, you're not good enough. Good enough is subjective. Subjective to what? The expectations of others. Can Acho cover sport? Yes. Acho can cover sport. I think he can do an excellent job. If he stops tap dancing, if he stops pandering, if he stops being a dancing bear, selling people out for crumbs, and you want to come on the air, well, I got my new Lamborghini, I got my new this and new that, and you're selling all that out for your soul. If not your eternal soul, your temporal soul. Who are you? Your character. How your community views you. How your family view you. It goes against what you see in the mirror. This is not me playing with him to talk about Caitlin Clark or talk about any other Caucasian player, because there are far better Caucasian players in the WNBA than Caitlin Clark. Trust me when I tell you. But what am I saying? I'm saying you cannot continue to pander for other people and not care about what you see in the mirror. Just as in Philadelphia, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, in Philadelphia, we had to stand up with the Asian community and say, we do not want a stadium built where they have built a place called Chinatown in Philadelphia. The city of Philadelphia was going to wipe Chinatown out and give them minuscule dollars, and the legacy that the Asian community has taken to build that whole community and put all those things in place. They was going to take it in a blink of an eye through rezoning and redefining Project 2025. It'd been on the books, and it was bringing it into fruition. So we had to stand up with the Asian community, and then there's the European Jewish community. The European Jewish community was facing some things where people was desecrating their grave sites, going there, kicking over their stuff, spraying it with, put the spray paint on there, and just tearing their graves up, tearing up messing up a few of their synagogues. And guess what? We had to stand with them. So this is no different when someone says, "Well, I'm standing up with the black community when it comes to X, Y, and Z," because we see that there's disparity and that they're treated differently and they're paid less, and that they and people lose their minds. How can you be a preacher and be pro black? How can I be a preacher and be pro black? Well, for one thing, let's get something straight. I'm pro human. But when blacks are not being treated like humans, or not being afforded things like humans, I'm still talking about sports, then we have an issue. Because you're not going to pay this player over here who's scoring 25 points and 10 rebounds. You're not going to pay him $1 million and pay the one over here who's scoring 25 points and 10 rebounds, and you give him $500,000. That's a market value, and that's where when we bring up diversity, equity, and inclusion, we have to be included in that market. You can't market me based on the color of my skin, but we have to you have to base me on the value on the market. That's where we get pricing from, right? When you go into the store, then you have things like the MSRP, the manufacturer suggested retail price, and it's based off of marketing. Like, how much could we do charge for this car based on income level, what's going on, and they do an overall observation saying this is a good market price for this. But when you start talking about humans and saying, "Oh well, we're not going to play you this," that's when the EEOC, and that's when the it's the EEOC and the oh God, I forget the name of the agency. You have to get them involved, but a lot of them lose their power because if we're not identifying and making it and identifying people's human rights, and they're erasing things, and you're sitting in a seat that can change things, and you just sit there and go, well, that's just how things are, because you concerned about your head right now. But I tell you, no lie, you are next. You're next. So when I look at Acho, yep, he's sell out. He's sell out, and he's a part of his own demise. All you had to do was stand up, and if they're gonna get rid of you, they're gonna get rid of you. You had already signed your contract. They couldn't change the money, you know, and they end up firing you anyway. And they didn't fire you because you weren't good enough. They fired you because they could. They fired you because they could, and they said, "Well, we want to go in a different direction," because they want to compete with Stephen A. Smith and them. And they said, "Well, basically," and to me, the facility was really a great, great, great show, but I think their marketing was off, just like the WNBA marketing is off. But I leave that off. I'm talking about marketing, how you push them and how so they can be viewed in the public's eye. But I'll leave that alone. But they was facility. The speak should have been canceled because Keyshawn Martin. Keyshawn and Paul Pierce, they sucked. Joy Teller was great. I love Joy Teller. She was great. But Keyshawn and them suck. People say, well, Joy Teller, she's not qualified. Joy Teller's been doing sports, but have been a sports commentator for close to a decade when she got that job. So people don't know what they're talking about. Now, let's get over to the I'm gonna tackle the 2025 ESPYs. It's one award that went out that I thought was a joke, and it was the overall sportsman of the year, sports player of the year, and they had three players. They had Otani of the Dodgers. They had four people in the category. So it was it was Otani for the Dodgers, right? It was Saquon Barkley for the Eagles. It was Shea Gilders-Alexander for the Oklahoma Thunder, and it was Josh Allen for the Buffalo Bills. Now, here's my problem with that. So, Brother D on sports. And they said, best sports, success story. Oh, yeah, best sports person or leader of the year. And I sat there and I went, wow. They had Saquon Barkley. Well, he led the NFL in rushing. He won a Super Bowl. Then there's Shohei Ohtani. Then he led the league in home runs, and he won the World Series. Then it was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who was, he was the top. he was MVP of the league, as well as he won the NBA champion. And then it was Josh Allen. Now, anybody knows that, if you watch sports, you know that Josh Allen was in the AFC Championship playing against Patrick Mahomes, and he lost. Mahomes went to the Super Bowl, played against Jalen Hurts and the Eagles, and Saquon Barkley, one of the nominees of this category I'm talking about, and they beat Patrick Mahomes, and Jalen Hurts had an outstanding game, so much so that he got MVP of the game because, Saquon, they kind of shut down the running game. Not shut it down, but they contained it pretty much. They put a lot of their efforts to contain Saquon because they didn't want him running on them like that. But nevertheless, they won it through the air with Jalen Hurts. Now, I'm saying to myself, wait a minute. Now, how did Josh Allen get into this when he's not even in the championship? You know what I mean? He's not in the top game. Now, but they are saying, well, basically, we're looking at their productivity for the whole year. Now, their productivity for the whole year, of course, Josh Allen had a much better individual stat season than Jalen Hurts, right? He did. He had better, but Jalen Hurts still had a great year. And Jalen Hurts beat the team that Josh Allen couldn't beat in order to what? To win a Super Bowl. If he had to beat that team, he would have gained access to be in the Super Bowl. Allen would have. But he lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. The Eagles met him, and Jalen Hurts outplayed him. Outplayed Patrick Mahomes, the person that beat Josh Allen. So pray tell. So when you look at the whole scope of things, because now they're looking at the whole year, I asked the question, how in the world did Josh Allen beat out Jalen Hurts? People say, well, he had a better individual stats, but Jalen Hurts and the Eagles had a comparable record. As a matter of fact, let's look up. I'm gonna look up their Eagles record. All right, so Eagles 20. All right, so let's do the stats. I'm gonna look them up. So this is really important. When you look up stats, it'll let you know, because I want to know basically what was the Eagles stats for last year, because I want to see how they stats. I'm going to go NFL standings. NFL standings. It's really important. Because what it does is it gives you. I'm trying to understand their logic, on where they're getting Josh over Josh Josh Allen over my man. Man, I'm gonna do it on my phone because this computer is true. Let me see. All right, so I'm gonna go NFL. In this thing and not Jalen Hurts. So it just shows you. My green screen went down. Lord have mercy. There's all kind of stuff happening. But it just proves to me that people kind of you know want to give certain folks accolades that is undeserving, and it lets me see plainly where people are. I know I'm talking a lot tonight. All right. Anyway, the last thing I'm gonna hit on. All right, is how black women or women are being treated, but mainly black women. We see what happened with Joy Taylor with the lawsuit, and now subsequently now the show is canceled, which is Speak. We see what Angel Reese was happening with her. We see how the commissioner allowed the dissimulation of the Connecticut Sun and their team to be dismantled in the WNBA, with their best players, and then their best players who are standing in the way of the Indiana Fever. So to me, they dismantled that team in order to make a clean path for Indiana to get to the championship. And then there is, even though they have to get through New York and Atlanta, but anyway, um, then we have also Asia Wilson's team, and the reason why they dismantled Asia Wilson's team was because they knew that Asia Wilson was looked at and viewed as the best player in the WNBA, and they had to find a way to kind of put her at a disadvantage to give certain other players an advantage in winning. So they took away her point guard, and they took away one of her forwards. And they allowed these players to go to the Indiana Fever. So they took all these good players, and they loaded up the Indiana Fever's roster. Natasha Howard, Turner, Bonner. Bonner ended up leaving because she seen the writing on the wall. She see what they were trying to do, as well as they got Howard, Boston. They have one more. I can't think of her name, but nevertheless, so they got all these great players. And so what does that mean? Well, it kind of means that the commissioner is there to keep things at balance with the teams, to make sure everything is even and equitable, that everything is that all the laws of the collective bargaining agreement are being exercised and executed with fairness and you know and just balance. You just need balance in the league. So, but the commissioner allowed these teams to be dismantled and all of the great talent to go to Indiana. So Indiana picked up 6 players. 3 of the 6 players has a combined 7 WNBA championships. DeWanna Bonner has 3. Natasha Sydney, that's her name, Sydney Colson. She used to play with Asia Wilson. She had 3. And no, Howard has 3. Sydney Colson had 3, and Bonner has 2. That is 7 NBA championships between those 3 women. And they put these 3 women on one team with Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell. And then they took 2 good defensive players in Turner, known for her defense, as well as Cunningham, known for her defense. So they allowed these players to come there, and they also just traded for a point guard. So they really stacked the team. Of course, Bonner left, but it's still stacked. So they still have 2 women on there with a combined number of 6 NBA championships, and they have a couple of defensive specialists as well as a buzzsaw and the young lady who is their point guard. So the commissioner allowed this. Now, keep in mind that the commissioner of the NBA, which the WNBA models, one time they wanted Chris Paul to go over there with Kobe Bryant. They stopped that trade because they was like, well, it'll be a power dynamic going out. So even though players have free reign to go where they want to, the commissioners have the strength, I should say, the authority, I should say, to weigh the trade. Like, is this going to be good for the NBA? Will people still find a way to beat these guys? Now, people might say, well, LeBron and them did it. Well, LeBron and them did it, but there were still great teams in the way, right? There was still Boston, even though they had LeBron and his team got past them one year. There was still, Golden State. There was still San Antonio. There was still the Lakers. There were still great teams out here playing ball, doing a great job. But so it was still balance. There was still balance, all right? Now, by them allowing, and I'm talking about the WNBA, by them allowing the Connecticut Sun and the Los Angeles Aces to be dismantled, that causes an imbalance And to take those players, those skilled players, those winners, those champions, and place them on one team, that's not that's not wise. That's not wise. So when I look at the commissioner and I'm saying, you allowed this. And what they're doing is they're making it hard for the women in the league to really prosper. They're making it hard for them to do and be who they are because they want to show one person being great. Because we all know that Caitlin Clark is actually going to help the WNBA. How is she helping the WNBA? Well, uh, I have my outlooks on this. And see, this is how other athletes are being disrespected by allowing her team to be stacked. Right? Number one. Number two, them not calling the proper calls against her infractions. The push off, full arm extension. Um, so they're painting the league to look like she's doing everything great. When in actuality, she has like one of the worst shooting percentages. She doesn't play defense. She doesn't have her opposite hand. It's so many things that's flawed with her game that people don't really hone in on, but they want to sell that. So the league is allowing um, her team to pick up all these great players, just like they have a mid-season event called the Commissioner's Cup, and Caitlin Clark's team won the Commissioner's Cup. It's just like a mid-season pickup game that you can win money if you the best team from the East and the best team from the West, and they play. And if you win, you split $500,000 amongst the team, the 15 members, and the coaches, which is really nothing. Lord have mercy. Anyway, I mean it's money, but you know what I mean. So the problem with that is that Caitlin didn't play in the game. She didn't play at all. She was injured. All right, and I'm not going to even get into why she's injured, but but she's injured. So Caitlin didn't play at all. So by her not playing, it gave the other girls, the real women on the team who's really working and winning the games for that organization, they had a time to shine and they could have focused on these girls, but they didn't. They played old clips of Caitlin Clark from other games. They talked about how Caitlin has now gotten her first title. It's not a title. It's just like a pickup game. A pickup game is like, hey, let's see who's the best. Let's have like it's like playing. It's sort of equivalent of you playing 101. Hey, I'm the best player in my school, and you're the best player in your school. Let's play a 1-on-1 and see who's the best. It doesn't mean that one team is greater than the other. It just means that in this one game that we're playing, that I really got the best of you. So it's not really anything like an accomplishment from that standpoint. It's more like a marketing tool, a money grab, and even how her team got to play in that game was suspect. But anyway, I'll leave that alone. But my whole point is that the team won it and she didn't even play. And by her not playing, it lets you plainly see that she is not as integral, pertinent to the success of her team. But the headline was Caitlin Clark gets her first time. You can't make this stuff up. And so when you see stuff like that, you say, all right, from a marketing standpoint, maybe I can understand. But as a true sports writer or a true fan of the game, you go, all right, guys, come on now, stop. This is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And the commissioner, as I said, allowed this trade, allowed things to be built up as such, and to be marketed as thus and so. So she's going to cause money to come to the league, yes, but not like people think, because people only really come to her games. Now, don't get me wrong. The other teams, they make money. They do what they have to because there wouldn't be a league if that was the case. But what I'm saying is, when you see that influx going from maybe like 12,000 fans there to 18,000, it's because of Caitlin Clark. It's because she has popularity and that she can, um, you know, people come to see her, right? She's not the best, but people like to come to see her. She was the best. I mean, keep in mind, she never won a championship in high school. She never won in college, and she has yet to win in the pros. She's been in the pros 1 year, but altogether that's 10 years, and going on 11. That's 10 years altogether. It's 10 years, and this is her 11th year overall. 4 years of high school, 5 years of college. Then again, they didn't play in 2022, but nevertheless, she was still on the roster. So I do count that year. And then there's 2024, which was last year, and she did not win. As a matter of fact, she got swept in the playoff by the Connecticut Sun, one of the teams that the league allowed to be dismantled. They got rid of both of their best players, as well as their coach, and their coach and one of their best players went to Indiana with Caitlin Clark. Go figure. After sweeping Caitlin Clark in the playoff. That's why I'm saying you can't write this stuff, man. This stuff is crazy. You can't write this stuff, but they definitely thought of it. They knew what they was doing because they knew that they was in opposition to be in Kate's way, and they didn't want, and the league don't want Kate to fail, but her body is breaking down because she doesn't exercise right, and that's anyway. People don't want to hear that either. They think I'm just making it up, but Caitlin Clark has been hurt for a while. And she's not hurt to that extent. She can play, but a lot of it is that her game is off because a lot of girls who are athletic are playing tight defense on her and she can't score. But if she had worked on her body, the smaller, because the injury is not really that bad, the small injury would not have been as bad. And she would have had enough core strength and muscle tone, as well as improving her handle, would have helped her against girls who are athletic that plays defense. So there you had it. So those are the three things I wanted to cover, and I covered them. So I'm in there. So just getting on tonight, just sharing. I hope this is some help to you to understand. And it's my first time on here, so but you'll see me with sometimes with a young lady. We cover the WNBA live. We look at the games and give you live coverage, live feedback, and you can join in with us when we do. I'm Brother D. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. All right, it's been an hour. Time to go to time to get some rest. It's 1:30. All right, God bless.